Hello and welcome to our show. Today I have with me Lisa Bentley, a self-proclaimed unschooling mother of two. Lisa, please tell us, what is unschooling?
Unschooling is a type of homeschooling that is not dependent upon a curriculum. Instead, the children decide for themselves what they like to do, and the parents help them learn that as broadly and as deeply as the children are interested.
How did you first stumble across this term, unschooling?
When my oldest daughter, Zoe, was around 3 years old, we knew that traditional school was not going to work for her. She was already reading full-length books and just astounding everyone around us. So I started looking into alternative types of education. And I discovered that every homeschooling curriculum out there, Zoe already knew all of that information by the time she was around 4 or 5, clear through 7th grade. So I knew that homeschooling traditionally was not going to work for us. And I learned that what we were doing by following her interests is called unschooling.
As a parent who probably did attend school yourself, how did this affect your decision to unschool your kids?
Unschooling was a very, very difficult decision for my husband and I to make. My husband was valedictorian of his high school class, and I would have been valedictorian of mine if not for the fact that my high school had a rule that you had to attend it for all 4 years, and I'd skipped 2 grades.
Oh, wow.
And so we were very firmly believed that school was the only place for people to learn. And so it took a number of years for us to see how people, in particular our actual children, were really learning and to embrace that.
How do you help your children learn without the resources that school gives you?
We're really lucky today because it's much easier to do this in today's environment because we have the internet and a wide variety of resources. I am, at the drop of a hat, able to find people who can answer all of my kids' questions online and in person.
Can you give me an example of how this works?
Oh, for example, when Zoe was around 6, she was extremely interested in bats. So of course we took her to zoos and libraries and we read books about bats, but it wasn't giving her enough. And so we went and found a bat expert who worked at a cave. In fact, we've gone to probably 50 or 100 caves. We've been to a lot because of Zoe's interest in bats. And that even went into as far as how do the wings work. And so we learned how to make actual bat wings, which she wore for a couple of months because she really liked bats a lot. And that interest has really grown. And so like I said, we took her to caves, and that made her interested in geology, and that's really grown, and we've met geologists and all sorts of people because of that interest.
Well, it sounds like your daughter is very self-directed. How would unschooling work for kids who aren't that?
I have met thousands of unschoolers, as well as hundreds of thousands of other children, and I believe that all children are self-directed. It's just that not all parents and teachers see that self-directed learning, because what we need to do as parents, as unschooling parents, is to see what our children are interested in and get excited about it with them and start bringing in resources and people to help them learn that particular thing, no matter how weird it is, better.
So does unschooling take a lot of time?
Yes. Unschooling, to me, is a 24-hour-a-day job. That means that when my children have a question, even if it's at 3 in the morning, it is my responsibility to either help answer it or to say, let's write that down and I'll answer it when I wake up.
Oh, well, it sounds like you spend a lot of time doing this. How do you structure your time spending so much of your time with your kids?
we structure our day much like a lot of other people. We get sleep, we eat, and we have responsibilities. And around those basic tenets of life, we put in the learning and the fun.
Let's see. I have a few more questions for you. Have your children ever expressed a desire to go to school? And what would you do if they did?
This was a question that I was very concerned about when we decided to embrace unschooling. And I frequently asked both of my children, especially as they aged, do you want to go to school? Do you want to see what the other kids are doing? And they would say, well, what are the other children doing? And I would explain to them what they were doing, and they said, that sounds like it would take up a lot of our time where we're learning so much, we wouldn't have as much time to learn. And so my kids have never wanted to go to school, other than as they've gotten older, they've wanted to explore things more deeply, which has encouraged them to take college level courses where the other students and the professors are deeply interested in a particular subject. And I have encouraged that.
So Lisa, we only have a few more seconds left before we have to go. Do you have any closing comments?
I would say that if you decide to unschool your children, it's important to communicate with them, to talk about anything and everything, and be open with them, because communication is really the key.
Thank you. And now for these important messages. Mr. Toastmaster?